Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ultima Ivanov and I hope you're doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the arcade stick that I currently use to play Dead or Alive 6 on PlayStation 4 and PC, which is the RAP4 Kai by Hori. I'm not an expert by any means of arcade sticks, and I've only owned a few in the past, including the Razer Atrox and Razer Panthera and the Hori RAP-N Hayabusa. However, when buying an arcade stick, my recommendation would be to choose one that has either Sanwa or Hori parts, as I think they will give you a better experience overall, even though they tend to be a bit more on the pricier side. The stick I'm reviewing today is a great mid-budget stick with Hayabusa parts that is compatible out of the box with PlayStation 3 and 4 and also PC through X-Input. From videos I saw online, it should also work on PS5 since it's an official PlayStation licensed product. There is also a version for Nintendo Switch that comes in different colors and that will also work on PC. In terms of weight, this stick feels quite heavy and premium, although I would say it's definitely lighter than the Razer Atrox and Panthera. Now, the thing that I like the most about this stick is its design, and I also really like the minimalist button layout at the front that features all the standard 8 buttons of the controller plus the start button. Now, this for me makes a huge difference because if you spend a lot of time in training, you probably use the start button quite often, so it's convenient that it's located at the front of the stick as opposed to on the side or at the back like in other arcade sticks. Now, one thing to bear in mind here is that if you play a game where you use all 8 buttons, there is a risk that you could press the start button by accident during a match, as there is no tournament mode toggle to deactivate it. But if you play Dead or Alive or Tekken for example, where you use only 4 buttons, this shouldn't be an issue. The layout of the buttons at the front is the Vuelix, which is what you'll find on most arcade sticks, and the buttons are Hori proprietary Hayabusa buttons. Personally, I really like the feel and look of these buttons over the Sanwa buttons, as they have a very nice matte finish and also sound more clicky. Sanwa buttons, however, are normally the go-to option for most players, so this is purely my preference. Another thing I like about the front of the stick is the presence of this ridge at the bottom, where you can rest your hands on comfortably. One common complaint about this stick is that there isn't much space to rest your hands, and while this is definitely true compared to other arcade sticks, personally I've never found this to be an issue. At the rear of the stick are the cable storage compartment and the PS4 touchpad. The door has a little hole on one side that allows the cable to pass through so you can close it while you're playing. It's worth noting that this door is a bit flimsy and is held in place only by 2 little pins which can break quite easily if you're not careful. On the left hand side of the stick there is nothing, and on the right hand side below the overhang there are a few extra buttons, including the share and PlayStation buttons, L3, R3, a turbo button and 4 little toggles for additional functions. One toggle is to switch the lever between right and left analog stick. Another is to change the speed of the turbo, an assign mode, which I will get into more detail later, and a toggle to set PS3, PS4 and PC mode. On the bottom of the stick there are 2 pads, which are not exactly rubber pads but quite similar, and at the bottom there is a sort of handle to carry the stick, which I personally never use. If you wish to customize your stick, swapping for example the buttons or changing the bolt top or the entire lever, you would have to unscrew these 7 screws, bearing in mind that the screw in the center is covered by a warranty sticker, so you would void your warranty if you decide to go ahead. One thing that is missing on this stick is a headphone jack, which you would find for example on other arcade sticks like the RAP-N Hayabusa or the more recent Razer Panthera Evo. Personally, I don't really miss this feature because I normally use a pair of headphones that I plug in directly into my PlayStation 4, but it's still something to note nevertheless. Moving on to the lever, this stick comes with a Hayabusa lever, which is produced in-house by Hori. The Hayabusa lever feels somewhat looser than a Sanwa lever, which is something you will definitely notice if you're used to Sanwa parts. Now, having tried both levers in the past, I actually prefer the Hayabusa lever simply because I'm more used to it, and I also think it requires slightly less effort to move the stick, especially to the left when you use only your thumb. Before I conclude my review, I just want to highlight a very useful feature of this stick that I highly encourage you to take advantage of, which is the assign mode. This is particularly useful if you spend a lot of time in training and need to reset character's position, for example, or set certain actions. In the case of Dead or Alive 6, if you want to reset position in training mode, you have to press L3 and R2. Now, if you were to do this on this stick, it wouldn't be really simple because the L3 button is located on the side of the stick below this hoverang, and there's other buttons as well. So to overcome this sort of issue, you can use the assign mode, which allows you to map any button to L1 and L2. So in the case of DOA 6, I've mapped the L3 button to L2, so I can reset position easily by simply pressing L2 and R2, which are next to each other. The good thing is that once you've done this once, the stick will remember your settings, even after you disconnect it, so you won't have to do it again. So to do this, there are 4 simple steps, which I'm gonna illustrate now. These are also contained in the instruction manual of the stick, which I've linked in the description if you wish to download it as a PDF. So step 1 is to turn the assign mode on by using the assign toggle. You'll see a red indicator light on the front of the stick when this mode is on. Step 2 is to press the button that you wish to remap, and you'll see that the turbo light will start flashing green after you've done this. The next step is to press and hold the button that you want to assign to L2. So in this case it would be the L3 button. You will have to hold this button until the green light stops flashing and both lights come on. The last step is to simply turn off the assign mode by using the assign toggle. Once you've done this, you'll see that the assign mode light will remain on to remind you that the assign mode is actually working. Now, if you want to reset all buttons to default, you simply have to turn the assign mode back on using the toggle, then press the PlayStation button and then turn the assign mode back off. This will reset L1 and L2 buttons to their original settings. If you are curious to know how I've assigned the other buttons on my stick, this is how I map them, which I believe is the most common setting. Right guys, that was the end of my review for this arcade stick. I really hope you found some value in it. I've also put a link in the description if you wish to check out this stick on Amazon, which is an affiliate link to help support the channel. I would also like to know if you play on an arcade stick and which one you are using and what your thoughts are about this stick. As always, if you enjoyed my content, a like would be much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this. I wish you all a nice rest of the day, and until next time, take care.